If we could, and we still have the live video from our storm tracking vehicle Dorothy with Nate Zinnel at the helm, we can always try and go back to that. You know, he's driving into a very strong storm. He's not going to go all the way into the storm. Generally when we talk about storms and storm tracking, I have to be completely honest with you. There is never a time that we put our crews in harm's way. Nate is being guided where he's supposed to go. Here toward the storm, he'll stop, wait for this storm to rotate over to his north, and then we'll turn him back to come in behind the storm. It's super important. What we do here to track the storms is also what we tell you. Please don't go out and drive around. Don't go out on your front porch with your iPhone or your Android phone, because we've got people like Nate who are out in our storm chasing vehicle, a dedicated storm chasing vehicle. And look at the wind. So we had wind gusts reported in McLeod County of 67 miles per hour. 10 minutes ago, all part of this tornado warning that you see flashing right here. And when you pull out one step further to give you an idea of the scope and the structure of this line of storms, notice there's the line into Cokato, then down toward Glencoe and stretching all the way down into parts of Sibley County, Le Sueur right there. These will be straight line winds coming out of this storm. Wind gusts at nearly 70 miles per hour. Talked about that earlier. It is happening in real time in parts of McLeod County. The tornado warning is very small. It's for parts of Carver, McLeod, and Wright County. Let me take you down one step and two steps to give you a much better idea. So the northernmost point here, there's Waverly, Winstead. Those are westernmost borders. From Watertown into Delano, these are areas that haven't been reached by the rain yet, but I'm telling you, it is on its way. And this will be blinding rain for the extreme northeastern portion of this tornado warning. Blinding rain, the kind that if there is a tornado in this Doppler indicated tornado warning, that is, my friends, going to be impossible to see. It'd be what we call rain-wrapped rotation. In other words, plenty of rain. I can't see something. Another reason why we don't want you to be outside. So the tornado warning has just shrunk. Ever so tiny little finger of a tornado warning right here. And Cody, you got something?
Yeah, I just wanted to go back over to weather too, if you can, real fast. There you go. I just wanted to show the scope one more time and kind of give you an indication of where the possible tornado would be located. It's just to the west of Watertown. I realize Watertown is not showing up right now, but just east of Winstead. Right in there, they kind of merge. It's kind of a weak circulation, to be completely honest, but I also want to draw your attention a little bit farther to the south and where we're getting some of the really strong gusty straight line winds. You see the forward motion, you see all the blue on the bottom of your screen, your Norwood Young America, and how linear the front line is. It just basically creates a straight line.
Right.
That's the wind pushing out. And so there's likely some very strong winds about to push into the Waconia area and heading eastward. Train spotter from the National Weather Service, looks like that was from earlier. That's from Morrison County. Just reported a wind gust of 62 miles an hour. So it doesn't include, obviously, this particular warning. That was a little earlier today, but obviously can get some very strong gusts with this as well.
Okay, it looks like there's a new severe thunderstorm. When we go back to weather one, just to the north of that, boy, there's an awful lot going on. And Cody, that's awesome information, because I don't want folks to think, hey, look, we're not in the tornado warning. We're in Delano, or we're here down toward Waconia. The one thing you're going to see right in front of this line, and I've used this analogy for years, I want you to think about straight line winds in this cluster of storms almost like it's an archer's bow. And as the archer pulls back the arrow and lets it go, those winds will be just in advance of the rains, just in advance of the strongest portion of the storms. Those are like the arrows flying forward here. So a new severe thunderstorm warning was just issued, and time to talk about it. And you know, when you start to look at the shape of these warnings, when you start to talk about the shape, sorry, go ahead, Cody.
I was just saying that the shape is just phenomenally weird.
Yeah, well, the shape gives you a really good idea also of where these storms are headed and the line that they're creating. There's the line, the bowing out of these strong storms as they march on the western Twin Cities suburbs. Now, earlier today, tornado touchdown well to the west. We're confident that we're pronouncing it properly, but then again, maybe not. It's Berea and Beretta. This is drone video. Foreta. Florida. Okay, so this is in Florida. This is drone video that has come to us from Storm Chasers, Florida, from John Humphreys and Severe Studios, some of the best chasers out there. You get an idea why we're on the air sometimes when we talk about tornadoes, even in outstate Minnesota. This is tremendous amounts of damage. In Florida, Minnesota, it looks like maybe a farmstead here or a little cluster of homes in a very small community, and a pretty big scar here with debris field all over. And look, there's outbuildings gone. And there you see the scattered debris. I'm surprised some of those trees are still up. What I would surmise, looking at this, Cody, and you can help me, but you know, this is one of those type of tornadoes that doesn't stay on the ground constantly, but more or less bounces. And it bounces, produces damage, bounces, produces damage. So the bounces can be 100, 200, 300 yards or as much as a quarter mile. So it's almost like a tennis ball bouncing along the ground rather than a bowling ball that stays on the ground and destroys everything in its wake. That's from earlier this afternoon in Florida, which is here in western portions of Minnesota. So let's go ahead and zoom in and get back to what's going on in the metro. Cody, fair warning when it comes to what's going on here with the new tornado warning. There's a new tornado warning for Wright County. You see it flashing here. So we've gone from the tornado warning that has rolled to the north. It is now in a very thin sliver of Carver and Wright counties. There you see this little tiny box, but now a new tornado warning that has been issued right here for parts of Carver, and it's the northernmost portion of Carver County, and fully a big portion, the eastern portion, all of eastern Wright County is really here in the tornado warning until 6:45. It is 6:35 right now. So let me give you a better look here at the lay of the land. So there's St. Michael. Here is the border. That's the border with Hennepin County. And now Wright County comes over toward Annandale, comes straight down, and then straight over, right through Winstead, just north of Winstead. That's a bad outline, I'll grant you that, of Wright County. Here's Hennepin County with a little tiny thunderstorm just going up along the 494 corridor. So that's right over top of Lake Minnetonka, working over in toward areas like Plymouth. Maple Grove, all there, very weak thunderstorm. But this is the latest tornado warning, and it is fully all of the eastern half of Wright County and a little tiny sliver here of Carver County. That new tornado warning is in place until 6:45. I know Nate Zinnel had Dorothy, our weather tracker, going out toward Cologne. Is that where this is? Danny, is this Cologne? Okay, so the latest, this is Norwood Young America with trees down. The latest tornado warning is Doppler indicated, and the possibility here of hail approaching 2 inches in size. And that's what I talked about earlier today. It is a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado over Montrose or 10 miles southwest of Buffalo. Southwest of Buffalo, moving to the north, and this is an incredible number, moving to the north at over 70 miles per hour. Faster than most people drive on freeways. Most people drive on freeways. The storm is tracking to the northeast at 70 miles per hour, working toward areas like Buffalo. So Cody, could you do me a favor? Sure. Let's scope what's going on.
Yeah, I've got it up when you want it.
Okay, let's go to Cody. Weather 2, eastern portions of Wright County, trying to get inside this storm to give you a better idea. This is what we call Doppler velocity. You're not looking at rainfall. These are the raindrops and hailstones that Doppler locks onto and finds if they're moving toward the radar unit or away from the radar unit. Just a minute, Cody, because when we talk about Doppler, it's an effect that was discovered by a scientist named Christian Doppler. And here's the best way to describe it. You stand on a highway or a road, and a motorcycle comes and goes, and it goes, and the pitch of the sound changes. That's coming toward you and moving away from you. That's really the effect of Doppler radar. Okay, would it go?
Yeah, so this is basically just showing that. And you're looking for what we call a couplet, basically an area where red and green come together and kind of create this sort of circle zone. It gives you that circle and circulation look to it, and it appears to be right over or just east of Waverly, which is what the National Weather Service described, and it's moving to the northeast. So if you're in or around or near Buffalo, you should be in your tornado shelter now. The circulation itself is on the grand scale of things is likely weak. So this would quite likely be what we call a quick spin up. So don't walk outside to see if you can see it coming. Ian mentioned it's moving at 75 miles an hour, so it's going to be tough to see anyway. But it's likely, if there's anything there, what Ian mentioned was that tennis ball effect, where you're kind of bouncing the ball and kind of going along the ground there.
Okay, so here's what you see: the red here and this pinky red. That's the flow away from Doppler, and this green here is the flow toward. So you get, when you basically got a collision here of two different flows, and as they come together, they develop that spin, and that's the couplet that Cody was talking about, and the Weather Service talking about this particular area of rotation just to the south of Buffalo, a perfect example of what we call a Doppler indicated tornado warning. No reports of a tornado on the ground. I think that's really important to mention, but there's the spin, there's Highway 12, there's Waverly, this storm and the spin, the rotation embedded in the storm working toward Buffalo. So from Weather 2, Cody, awesome, excellent information. Back here to Weather 1. And really what you want to do is, if you are looking at radar, say you're looking at radar right now in the Fox 9 weather app, and you see these very bright pink, white colors. We talked about that earlier. That's the core where the storm is taking the moisture and the hailstones and building it up, keeping it embedded in the mid to upper reaches of that storm. That's why it looks so violent here with those colors. That's the core that is tracking toward areas like Buffalo. And again, this is the tornado warning that is in place for Carver, thin piece of Carver, and Wright counties until 6:45. And Cody, there are limitations with Doppler, and once we get really close to Doppler, right? Doppler is located right beside Chanhassen High School in Chanhassen, Minnesota. Once you get really close to the Doppler, it starts to overanalyze storms. So Cody, you can see the meso is suddenly turned off to the east here. But the overall direction, and I'll tell you, the overall direction of this storm is here, off to the northeast, working at between 20 and 30 miles per hour. So really that's it, with the strongest rotation, as you outlined, Cody, that was just here, just north of Waverly and working toward Buffalo. Forward motion of these storms, an incredible 60 to 70 miles per hour. I want to zoom out so that we don't forget about the rest of the Twin Cities Metro and what's happening, because there is still plenty going on. There's the back edge of the tornado watch. It's collapsed in out of the west. So you're saying to yourself, well, what about Bruton and Wilmer and Kingman, all the way to Fortuna? All of that clear. No more storms for you tonight. Notice this thin little area of storms. It looks like a car crash. It came into the West Metro and just kind of went bam. Well, there you have it, the tornado warning in place now. We've dropped, well, we're going to keep Carver and Wright. This is such a small little area of Carver County with the rotation now. They did? Okay.
Should drop off the map here shortly.
Okay, so that one's done. Carver is done. This is fully a tornado warning now. West Metro, all for Wright County until 7 p.m. tonight. And look, Twin Cities, Greater Metro, from downtown Minneapolis off to the east, you're like, wow, is it ever hot? Wow, is it ever humid? The clouds look like they're growing a little bit, but for the better part of the day, we had some thin clouds. We had plenty of sunshine. There you see video coming in, live video from our storm tracking vehicle, who we aptly call Dorothy. And that looks like it is moving now back, coming away from the strongest portions of the storm, coming back toward Waconia. So if you think about this, if you're in Waconia and you're looking across the metro, see that band way in the distance where it's bright white? So that's areas here, east of the metro, where it's clear. And you're in the East Metro in St. Paul or St. Croix or New Richmond, anywhere into west central Wisconsin, you're looking to the west. You'll see some rather large, big, billowing cumulonimbus clouds really building, and you're saying, wow, there's some storms off there. Here's where the storms are. They're in the West Metro right now. The tornado warning in place now for Wright County until 7 p.m. Cody, has the rotation of that storm, or at least the core that was just north of Waverly, has that shifted?
It hasn't shifted. It's certainly weakened, but they're continuing the tornado warning. Why the southern branch of that hasn't expired off our screen, I'm not exactly sure, because that has since expired. So it's just from areas from Buffalo which right now the circulation is basically right over the city of Buffalo, moving northward towards Monticello, again about 65 or 70 miles an hour, with the remnants of that, that one tornado warning that's on screen right now. The second one, I'm not sure why it has not dropped off.
Okay, so the rotation here near Buffalo, working up toward Monticello, which is the northern extent of, northern extent of Wright County. I'm coming to the Weather Center. I need a drink.
Yeah, that's fair. So I'll keep talking. So if you want to switch over to weather too, I can kind of show what's left of that circulation and kind of give you an idea of where that's located at the moment. I'm not sure we can. You're
on weather 1 right now.
There we go. Weather 2. So you're looking for that red and green couplet, and you notice some things on here, mostly some brighter pinks, and that's indicative of a unidirectional, or basically all the wind moving in one direction. There's a little itty bitty tiny circulation still kind of on the western fringes of that. You're getting some lesser colors, so trying to transition to green here. So still a bit of circulation there, which is why the National Weather Service likely went ahead and just continued that tornado warning as an extra precaution. I'm not saying it's not there. There certainly could be a quick spin up, but the overall circulation isn't there. Now I'm going to actually zoom out and I'm going to switch over products. I know Ian has talked a bit about VIL, vertically integrated liquid, but I wanted to give you an idea of what I'm seeing here from basically a different perspective. So I'm actually turning off the radar, and I'm going to show you a little bit different product, and you can actually see this entire line begin to develop farther to the south, and you see these pink zones, these pink little blobs. We call those hail cores. We also call those mesocyclones. They're basically the core of each individual storm that make up this entire line. So there's one just to the southwest of Mankato. There's another one just to the west of St. Peter. There's another one west of Belle Plaine, and then you can roll northward and you can see the one that has a couple warnings on it. Obviously bigger pink zones, indicating bigger, larger mesocyclones, larger circulations here that will likely contain some form of hail and, of course, gusty winds and some very heavy rain.
My friend Tim Plotz is just walking me in a Coca-Cola, because who doesn't love that? Thank you, my friend. The best. Cody, really great information here. When you look at the vertically integrated liquid and the cores that exist right here, that's the tornado warning that we're concerned about. This is northeastern Wright County, the area of concern from Buffalo all the way to Monticello. Danny, let's go over to Weather 1, because there is some things happening in cabin country. And, occasionally you'll get people say, don't forget about us. I'm not. Here's the last 6 hours. I want you to look up here what's happening in cabin country. And I know we're getting well to the north now, advancing into areas like St. Louis County. There is a new tornado warning with a cluster of severe thunderstorm warnings. This latest tornado warning is for Aiken, Itasca, and St. Louis County. So you see it going from Aiken through Itasca all the way into St. Louis County here. That is in place until 7 p.m. Another Doppler indicated tornado warning. When you expand the view, all of these gold outlines, those are all severe thunderstorm warnings for Aiken, Cass, Crow Wing, Itasca counties, all in place until 7:15 into at least 7:30 with some of the severe thunderstorm warnings, as this line of storms, strong storms producing straight line winds, all racing here out toward areas like Hibbing, St. Louis County, and eventually the North Shore. Now, here's what's happening. Greater Metro. Tornado warning for Wright County, and a new severe thunderstorm warning for parts of the North Metro. Cody, I know what you want to go ahead.
Just getting some damage reports now of a 53-mile-an-hour wind gust in Minneapolis-St, but also getting reports of wires down in Orono and power lines down in Mound because of some of those gusty winds. Also trees down in Sleepy Eye from the southern extent of that line. That was a little bit ago, about a little over an hour ago.
Yeah, so Sleepy Eye down toward New Ulm. So all around Lake Minnetonka. All areas, I'll grant you this extended metro, West Metro, all of those areas, reports of trees down and power down. I think what we're going to end up with here, we have plenty of Doppler indicated tornado warnings. I think what we're really going to end up with here is lots of blowdown damage with wind gusts at 70+ miles per hour. Here's the latest track on the strong portion of the storm here. As you see that yellow box over top of Buffalo, that's a nice rotation, a mesocyclone signature in the storm. There's the storm track working toward Big Lake in the next 23 minutes. That's across I-94. It is off to the west of St. Michael. This is the tornado warning for northeastern portions of Wright County that is in place until 7 p.m. The latest severe thunderstorm warning, notice how big it is here. Anoka, Sherburne, Stearns, and Wright County, that's flashing in yellow and gold. This is all about that line. And remember what we talked about earlier. I said this is like an archer's bow. So there's the bow. You pull back, and the winds in advance, the straight line winds, those are the arrows. And those winds will be here, working from I-94 off to the northeast. The storms are traveling to the forward speed of over 50 miles per hour, producing winds in excess of 70 miles per hour. This is a real large area here, just north and off to the northwest of the metro. Now, let's do this, give you a big picture view, because we're concentrating on what's going on with what's left of the tornado watch. Cody, how'd you like to look out here off to the southwest of the Minnesota River Valley?
Yeah, I was just looking at that.
A whole new cluster of severe thunderstorm warnings. And Cody and I, there's going to be a word here that I'm going to throw out, and people are going to be like, oh, I got to get to the Googles.
It's going to be a big word.
After all of these storms pass, we're going to end up with an effect that's generally called a wake low, which, if you think about it, is this little tiny spin in the atmosphere that comes behind. It's like a kid that missed the party. Here's the party, and the kid's going, hey, you guys, wait for me. And as that spin comes through, it collapses to the ground, and it can produce winds at 70 to 90 miles per hour without producing much in the way, if any, thunderstorm activity. So round one is here right now from the metro, northeastern Wright County with that Doppler indicated tornado warning, all the way up into St. Louis County and everywhere in between. That's round one. Round two is trying to get going in the form of a wake low well off to the southwest. So look, this is going to be an active weather night tonight. Now we're starting to involve parts of the metro and areas south, all along the Minnesota River Valley, but areas north. From Aiken all the way into St. Louis County, tornado warning here for Aiken, Itasca, and St. Louis counties until 7 p.m. Doppler indicated tornado warning, all a part of this massive cluster of storms. Everywhere you see a gold box, there are 4 of them there. Severe thunderstorm warnings for Aiken, Cass, Crow Wing, and Itasca counties. These are straight line wind producers here off to the north and to the northeast. Forward speed of these storms, 40 plus miles per hour. Got a decent storm developing here just to the north of, say, Plymouth and Maple Grove. If you came up, you'd go sort of Lino Lakes, just off to the west of Rogers, working toward areas like St. Michael and parts of Wright County. I'm going to just slide. I'm just going to.
If you want to switch over to weather too, I've got it up for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Danny, go ahead and switch over to weather too.
There you go.
There it is. Perfect.
So yeah, this is basically cell from Andover to Oak Grove, moving northward towards Cambridge. It's quite likely not what's involved with this warning, although certainly expanding. It's all the warning right along 94 now, and we could actually, Danny, if you actually want to pull up a jam cam at some point and kind of give an idea, northwest of Rogers, say the Monticello to St. Michael area, we may be able to get a pretty good scope of what these storms are looking like. They're working on that in the control room. We'll get that to you in a couple minutes here.
The tornado warning was set to expire in 11 minutes for Wright County. It's still here. This tornado warning is now expired. So the tornado warning for Wright County has now expired. The severe thunderstorm warning you see Cody talking about here, it's Anoka, Sherburne, Stearns, and Wright County. Massive area. Strongest portion of the storms now just coming across I-94, all racing off to the northeast, including that new cell from Andover toward North Branch. That is, these cells are going to start to develop quick and fast. And last night I used the term explosive development, and really that's what we're starting to see right now.
Yeah, very much, as they continue to press off to the north, and they're moving so incredibly fast. So don't walk out your front door and try to take a picture or try to look at it, because by the time they're on your doorstep, it's already too late. You're running inside because suddenly you're wet and there's things flying around. Yeah. So just be aware. These all have the strong wind, especially near this hail core. Looks like St. Michael area, probably.
Yeah, right along 94. That's the strongest portion of the storm. It's just coming across 94 right now. So Danny, go away from weather 2, come back to weather 1. I've got a big picture view for you. There it is, all along 94. That's where the strongest portions of these storms are, now riding off to the northeast. And I got to tell you, anytime we start tracking particular storms, I always want to make sure we don't forget about what's going on elsewhere. Greater metro, from downtown Minneapolis all the way east, you're like, I don't get it. What's the big deal? It's hot. It's humid. There were some storms out there. tornadic storms, the better part of the last 3 hours. But notice this line coming down from Wright County into parts of Meeker, and eventually here in a slim portion of Carver County, and then down into Sibley County. Very strong storms, not warned right now, and well off to the south and to the southwest, exactly where this round of storms developed earlier today. I mentioned the effect called a wake low, a little kind of spin up, big spin up in the atmosphere that tends to just sort of sneeze down and produce some very strong straight line winds without producing much in the way of big, wide thunderstorm activity. There it is. Go ahead, Cody.
Yeah, and just to kind of confirm that the wake low in southwestern Minnesota, they're getting reports of 60 to 70 mile an hour wind gusts. They're now getting a report of a flipped semi, which is actually on Interstate 29. So it's actually coming out of South Dakota, rolling into southwestern Minnesota. That's for obviously later this evening, but kind of gives you an idea that this is in fact happening.
Yeah, and yeah, for much later, we're probably talking 6 or 7 hours if it all holds together, working into areas like the greater Twin Cities metro. Okay, so the tornado warning for Wright County, all done. But the strongest portion of the storm, there it is, working all along I-94, tracking into this latest severe thunderstorm warning for Anoka, Stearns, and Wright County. This storm has a history of producing 70-mile-per-hour winds in parts of McLeod County less than an hour ago. That's why we've got the warnings all in place right now, all tracking here off to the north and to the northeast. But like I said earlier, and I, you know, Tim and BC are sitting on the set, and I just got to Tim Blotz.
Have a Coke and a smile.
What a guy, I love it. Thank you. But you know, you're sitting there, and for the better part of the afternoon, you've both been in the newsroom, watching the coverage, hearing the news reports coming in. What are your thoughts, Tim, BC?
Well, we can report that we have a little bit of information from Ferrata, Minnesota, where we saw the video from Fox Weather from the storm tracker earlier, about 10 minutes ago, of the damage there. Search and rescue operations are currently underway there. They do not know of any reports of injuries or fatalities at this time, but that can also change. But the county spokesperson is telling Fox 9 that the damage is significant, as we saw from some of that video that you're seeing there right now from Steve Humphreys, a weather chaser. The spokesperson telling us it's going to be really challenging for the crews to get out there in these impacted areas because the roads are currently blocked right now with down power lines. They also have a lot of reports of power outages there too. But just looking at this video, you can pay attention to the debris field here. Ian was pointing this out earlier, and this is really typical of a lot of tornado scenes that BC and I get to when we've reported on these scenes in the past. There's just stuff scattered everywhere, and you can kind of see, look, you can see it in the circular motion there as the camera comes around. BC, this is typical, isn't it?
Yeah, it is very typical when you're dealing with severe weather like this. And according to those there on the ground, they're saying that it's really too early to tell if there are any fatalities, if anyone is seriously hurt, because a lot of the roadways there are currently blocked. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on the situation there as it progresses.
So really what we're talking about is the cluster of storms that developed at around 3 o'clock this afternoon, and it's here. I call these the four brothers and sisters, Pope, Grant, Stevens, and Douglas County. That was really where everything began to kick all the way down into parts of Swift County here in the northern area of the Minnesota River Valley. Last night I said this is the area. This is the area where these storms are going to form and be strongest early afternoon. That's what we had roll. But now you look how clear it is. These are just some scattered, loose, non-severe thunderstorms. But as you begin to look here off to the south and the southwest, look at a whole new cluster of severe thunderstorm warnings along and southwest of the Minnesota River Valley. These will eventually turn and track off to the north and to the northeast. So for the metro right now, one severe thunderstorm warning. It's really northwest metro areas north and off to the northwest, including St. Cloud and bending back over into Sherburne County and then diving down into parts of northern Hennepin County. And this line of very strong storms, not warned storms though, from parts of Wright County through Meeker County into Sibley County all the way down. This basically I mean, when you look at it geographically, this is basically running the Minnesota River Valley all the way down to Mankato and back up here, coming down the Mississippi River Valley into parts of the North and Northwest Metro. So there is absolutely a lot going on with that one tornado warning well to the north. There it is here from Itasca, Aiken into St. Louis counties. That's in place until 7 p.m., 4 minutes from now. Everything there is a Doppler indicated tornado warning. This ribbon of the gold boxes that you see here, those are all severe thunderstorm warnings. And really what we're talking about with all of these severe thunderstorm warnings, there's the ribbon working here. These are all straight line wind producers off to the east northeast, running at between 40 and 50 miles per hour. You saw it flash there just in the last minute. New severe thunderstorm warnings along and southwest of the Minnesota River Valley. This is our next wave of storms. It's going to come up from the southwest and track to the northeast as we roll through the next 4 or 5 hours. The metro, if you're outside, if you know your neighbors, you were looking out the window and you saw they're going for a walk and you know their number, give them a call. Because if they are outside in the West Metro here in the next, call it 25 to 30 minutes, this line of thunderstorms is going to collapse on through out of the west. Some vivid thunder, lightning, some very heavy rains as this all works right across the West Metro into areas like St. Paul, eventually St. Croix River Valley and west central Wisconsin as we work through the next, say, 60 to 90 minutes. But it is all here with this severe thunderstorm warning here. Plus.
This is Fox 9 News.
And thank you so much for joining us here at 7. We want to get right to Chief Meteorologist Ian Leonard.
Severe weather is really tracking across the state tonight, including here in the metro where we have a number of severe weather warnings, including thunderstorms. Ian?
Yeah, and thanks, guys. I know it's been an arduous day of storm coverage, but here's what we've been talking about in the last hour. The tornado warnings for Carver and Wright County have been allowed to expire just before 7 p.m. But with those storms in parts of Carver and Wright County, damage reports now of winds at 50 to 70 miles per hour. Now that becomes a concern as the no longer tornado-warned storms, but severe thunderstorms are here. This large box is a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Stearns County, Anoka, all the way into parts of Sherburne, and even a thin sliver here of Hennepin County. So all of this, as these strong storms continue to track off to the north and to the northeast. Off to the north, the tornado warning that was in place for Itasca, Aiken and St. Louis County has been allowed to expire, but notice the severe thunderstorm warnings for Aiken, Cass, and Itasca and Couchiching counties expand the view, and it becomes all about one big straight line wind maker. And by that, I mean here, where you've got this line of storms that extends all the way down into the north and the northwest metro. That's the line that's like an archer's bow. You pull it back, and when it's released, the straight line winds in the core of these storms continues to advance, producing wind damage that we've seen since 3 o'clock this afternoon, winds in excess of 70 miles per hour. Severe thunderstorm warning still here for Anoka, Hennepin, Sherburne, and Wright counties. And this is one of those days, and Cody Matz is with me in the Weather Center. This is one of those days where you're like, as a meteorologist, you're like, wow, look at those storms. And then you think about it, 20 miles to the south, a line of storms just not finding the fuel, just not clicking, just not being able to put down the gas pedal and really become accelerated, really become severe. By the way, that's really good news, because there will be people on the interwebs that say, oh, I was hoping for severe. And I always say, no. Who hopes for severe? Definitely not anybody in the Weather Center here at Fox 9. So this is good news. These storms, though, are going to collapse across the metro. You'll get some very brief, very heavy rain, thunder and lightning all accompanying these storms as they work across the metro. Cody Matz in the Weather Center. Go.
Hey, can we switch over to weather too? I actually want to show you what I'm seeing and why some of these storms that are pushing into the metro don't have severe thunderstorm warnings on them, a little bit weaker. It's what we call outflow, or basically rain-cooled air that kind of flows out the base of the storm. Well, if it gets out ahead of the storm, it can actually kind of cut off the storm system from the fuel that it uses, and you can actually see that on our little velocity product here, and I'll highlight it right in there. It's actually leading the storm, meaning it's great. Cutting it off, which is a really good sign.
It's a good thing
to keep it weak, weak enough.
I mentioned earlier, it's kind of like a forest fire going into an area of the forest that was sprayed down with water. Yeah. So the fuel is there. It's literally unusable. That's really great information, Cody. Thank you. Nate Zinnel is out in our storm tracking machine, Dorothy. It's a truck. It's a beast. And there he is. Where's Nate coming through right now, Danny? He's coming through Mound. So you see, this is what I was talking about with the big time rain coming across the metro. So it will be big time rain, thunder, and lightning. But right now, metro proper, or for old timers, I'm kind of there. The Loop, 494, 694, the Loop. In the Loop right now, we are not under any warnings. We're not under any severe weather threat, and some big time rain, thunder, and lightning, and winds at 30 to 40 miles per hour collapse in here out of the west. And of course, we're going to continue to watch this. I know that Tim and BC are ready to go with Fox 9 News Plus, Fox 9 Plus News. Whew. As we get through this evening, and it was a day full of news, not to mention a day full of storm reports. So I'm going to send things back to you as things change. We're gonna Cody and I'll gather in the Weather Center, reassess everything. As things change, you'll come back.
All right. Let us know if you need over there too, Ian.
Thank you, Ian and Cody. And today is a day you definitely want to stay sky aware, and you can do that from anywhere with the Fox 9 weather app. It has the latest radar, along with the most up-to-minute watches and warnings that may be in your area. Again, that's the Fox 9 weather app. It's free to download on the App Store and Google Play. Well, the first wave of storms rolled through overnight and early this morning, causing some damage.
Quite a bit. Our Rob Olson spent the day in Stearns County and gives us a look at round one.
Yeah, Memorial Day turned into cleanup day on the shores of Grand Lake near Rockville, Minnesota. This is just southwest of St. Cloud. Strong storms overnight that wreaked havoc here, with the worry that more could be on the way. As the wind whipped the water of Grand Lake near Rockville, the promise of more trouble about to blow through came the cleanup of the trouble that came overnight that felled trees and flipped boats.
Like I say, pontoon's upside down. There's one down that way. It's completely upside down.
Holy snaky.
This is video from another neighbor here. The strong winds that rocked these properties at about 4 a.m. The pontoons and the docks and lifts they were attached to easily taken away by the gusts.
I've never seen anything like this. This is nasty.
Paul Ludwig awoke to the sounds of that storm just in time to see the destruction that took only minutes.
Could hardly see anything, I guess, except for the lightning flashes, and I could see my pontoon roof took off, and then I seen Vern's whole boat just roll over. It pretty scary. We don't have a basement here, so a little nervous.
Working in another steady rain against the threat of another cell moving in, a crew worked to flip one of those pontoons, still attached to its lift, back upright. Against that backdrop of threatening skies and the forecast into the night, they all hope this doesn't repeat and add to the damage that's already been done.
It's laying there in pieces now, so there's the next round coming. So.
Yeah, one of the issues here is the ground is so saturated. The people pointed out that they worry that more of these trees could come down with more strong winds coming through. So again, a lot of hopes that they're not doing more of this again on Tuesday. In Rockville, Rob Olson, Fox 9.
Rain is more bad news for flooding up north. Homes and businesses in St. Louis and Coochin County are already surrounded by water, and more rain will only bring those water levels higher, possibly up to historic amounts. Coochin County is closing several roads in anticipation of flooding, and people who live along those roads have been asked to evacuate. But that is not stopping sandbagging efforts. Officials up there say as long as there's no lightning, they will continue to sandbag. Yesterday alone, volunteers filling more than 30,000 sandbags. Officials say they are working as safely and efficiently as possible.
Fort Snelling National Cemetery holds its Memorial Day service in person for the first time in more than 2 years, all due to the pandemic. The ceremony today honored the fallen, the missing in action, and the living.